We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
What's going on, cigar world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and I'm back with another banger. How's everybody's day going, man? I hope everybody is having a great day. We are having a great one. Outside the fact that I am pooping profusely all day today, we have been having a great day, man. Hey, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell, and give us a huge thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, don't be the only one to have this wonderful content at your fingertips, man. Make sure you go ahead and share, like, repost, make a watch party. I don't care what you do. Just get it out there for the people to see it, man. How's everybody doing, man? We have an epic show in store for you tonight. We have a guest of honor for the hour. Everybody knows his face, man, and everybody knows this organization, man. They are sweeping headlines. They're changing things up by the day, and really just kind of cultivating a new environment here in the cigar industry. Hey, what's up, David? How's everything been? Hey, David, I want to let you know that barn that you have is freaking amazing. If we can pick that thing up and deliver it to Jacksonville, Florida, I'll open a cigar lounge with it, man. That is amazing. But yeah, we're doing some great things, man. Couple updates here on the cigar side of the house. We're going to PCA here in a couple weeks. We may or may not do a show on the week of the 7th. I'm gonna look at my calendar real quick. Where we at? We may or may not do one on the 11th. We're supposed to have we're supposed to have a guest on board, but they're gonna be at PCA. So I don't know if I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna be at PCA as well. So who knows? We might do a pop-up show in the middle of freaking PCA. But other than that, we have a lot of great things going on here at the lounge. We have Whiskey and Cigar Fest coming up August 13th at the lounge. Tickets are $150. You get a bottle of American Distiller, 5 cigars, several more things. I'll be posting that flyer here in the next coming week. Complimentary to, our guest of the hour for today, man. We also have the PCA release coming out. The Hornet, the Killer Hornet, and the Fruit. He'll correct me on that one. I cannot think of that name right now, but I know as soon as he gets on, we're going to talk about it. I just showed him the flyer of it. The fruit leather. That's what it is. The fruit leather. So it's going to be a great time, man. If you guys, like I said, if you guys are new to this, man, we're about to have a freaking awesome time. I'm not going to hold up any more time talking and doing that on my hooting and hollering. I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest of the hour. Our guest of the hour is coming from Orlando, Florida. Introducing Clark Thornton. What's up, champ?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good to be here.
Oh.
Jack, thank you so much for having me.
One second.
To be on here tonight.
Having some technical issues, clearly. All right, talk to me again. What you say, champ?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. These damn AirPods and connecting to everything they can possibly get their hands on. Hey, man, we appreciate you. No, sorry, man. Go ahead.
I just said thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Man, I'm excited to have you, man. We're about to have an amazing show. I don't know what the hell is going on with these AirPods today, but it's always something, right? It's about
when you need them to work the most is when they're most unreliable.
Oh, Jesus. Come on. You're preaching to the choir right now. What's going on, man? How's everything going?
I am doing fantastic. Getting very excited for, like you mentioned, the next LCA release coming out this Friday. It's been a busy couple of weeks for sure, but we're very excited.
Oh, man, we became, LCA members, a month ago, last month. Well, officially. And I mean, the shit sells, and the Ron was a great cigar, man. Only thing I can think of when I smoked that thing though was you freaking on a goddamn video on Instagram. Talk about the Ron.
That was certainly an entertaining film day for sure.
It was amazing, man. It was amazing. I'm over here trying to get my cigar together. My executive producer, she gets on me. That's AKA my wife. Stop moving. I'm trying to get my cigar, babe. That's all I'm trying to do. I wish I could be smoking a Hornet. What you smoking tonight?
I'm going to make you very jealous then, because I am smoking a Room 101 Murder Hornet, which you'll have. You don't have yours yet. You're getting on Monday, I think.
Yeah. We'll have them here soon. So if you're looking for the LCA releases, and trust and believe, like I said the last time, we will sell out quick. We got them last time on a Friday. They was going on a Sunday. So
wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, they go quick. So if you guys are interested, make sure you jump on, Dapper D Cigars, and or come visit the brick and mortar. But anyway, man. So Clark, for people that don't know you, which I think it's kind of hard not to know you, for people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about the Privada Club, this Privada Cigar Club as well.
100%. So my name's Clark. I'm the director of the Limited Cigar Association, or LCA, at Privada Cigar Club. Privada Cigar Club basically started 4 years ago as the first only premium aged rare cigar of the month club. That's what we specialize in completely, was aged and rare and really unique unicorn stuff. We wanted to do, we thought that, cigar of the month clubs were basically something that big retailers did just kind of as an ancillary thing to basically get rid of dead stock. And we wanted to make something that was truly just based on the idea of getting the true connoisseur, a collector, something really unique and special in the mail each month. And so that we started that in 2017. Brian Descent, actually the owner, started that. I met him in 2018 or 2019, early 2019, and hopped on board. And the company was still very young. It's grown in a lot of different ways. We now have one of the largest online shops in the industry. Again, specializing in really Asian, rare, and interesting stuff. We try to have the stuff that you wouldn't find anywhere else. And then last year, we started LCA, Limited Cigar Association, which has been my baby ever since. And the whole idea of LCA was to partner with brick and mortar shops and keep traffic coming into local brick and mortar shops. And it was really important to do so, because 2020 rather, was a really bad year for brick and mortars in every profession, especially cigars. And we really believe that without brick and mortar shops, there is no cigar culture. There's always been in this industry, I think, an unhealthy sense of like war competition between online and in-person retailers. And we really thought we just need to shatter that, because it's like if you don't, brick and mortars, cigar lounges, that's where the Foster gets built. It's where new people get introduced to it. It's what fosters the community. And so we thought it was really important to keep people supporting the local shop. So we started LCA basically as a monthly release program, where each month we send a cigar to retailers around the country. Each month it's a collaboration between us and one of the manufacturers that we work with, and it's always produced just exclusively for LCA shops. You couldn't get these things just anywhere, and there's only a small amount produced, so they're designed to sell very quickly. But it's been a lot of fun. It's grown in a much larger way than we would have ever imagined in the last year. But we're really excited to have you guys on board now. I think that you guys are going to be a great ambassador for the program, and I'm very excited to call you guys members of the LCA now.
Yeah, man. And look, we're happy to call ourselves members of the LCA, and I think everything that Privada Club and the LCA is doing is really essential to making sure the game is locked tight. Like you said, brick and mortars has been a foundation of cigars for a long time. It wasn't until maybe about 2001 roughly, where you started getting online traction going, and then it wasn't really until 2007, 2008, 2009 when it really started taking off. And so many shops are being put out of business because of big online retailers. And I tell people nowadays, is shoot, if you ain't got an online retailer, you're losing money, you're losing marketing, you're losing all of that. But at the end of the day, what you guys are doing in order to build bring customers into your lounges and different things of that nature. I can't tell you enough, man. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and like I think that a lot of people like maybe get it a little wrong. Like they think that the answer to, because you're right, definitely smaller brick and mortar shops, especially the ones without any online presence at all, are hurting because of online sales of cigars. And I think that some people's idea of how to address that is make online cigar companies go away. And I don't think that's the right answer at all. I mean, Privada has something very special that we're extremely proud of that we can't take any credit for, really, which is a very robust community of people from across the country who share their
around the world
together. Around the world, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We do have a lot of international members, absolutely. And so I wouldn't trade that for anything. That's a really special thing. But by the same token, that doesn't mean that we should, say, this is the way that the world's headed. We should just forget brick and mortar. That's not right either. And so I think that LCA might be, I would venture, I dare say, maybe the first real handshake between brick and mortar and online. As a way to demonstrate to people that it doesn't need to be a competition. We can work together and make this a better industry for everybody.
What's up, Johnny? So yeah, I mean, absolutely, right on the head. Like, I mean, absolutely. The thing about it is, for so long, people have been trying to compete with online sectors, and I think that's even one thing that I took in account with my business was like, I can't compete with online retailers. And the reason why is because, different rebates, different ways of getting, large amounts of cigars for way discounted prices and still making a profit. I can't do that right now. But what I can do is make my prices very advantageous to the consumer. So they want to come in store, they want to have the experience, and then they want to, come inside. But also for my people that is not able to go, fellowship and have the experience, they can order online. I mean, it's like I said, it's a 1-for-1. One of our things is, fast service, great reliability. Our stuff is always going to come right on time and all of this good stuff. But at the end of the day, we do none of that. We do none of that without the store. I can sell cigars. I can try to sell cigars out my house, but it doesn't work. I'm telling you. But at the end of the day, it's all about building. It's all about, doing what you guys are doing. And like I said, I think it's great. So Clark, man, looking at your baby as LCA, what was obviously you talked about, making the official handshake with the brick and mortars, but what was really the motivation behind it?
It was just, we'd been saying for years that we were good for cigar culture, we were good for the movement, we were good for brick and mortars and for brands. There were a lot of people that didn't understand Privada in the beginning. Some people that still don't understand it and hate on it, which I understand. It's a different thing. But people were saying that we're bad for brands. But our whole thing was, listen, we're introducing people to new cigars. We're encouraging them to go spend time at their local lounges and ask for these cigars that they're falling in love with at their local lounge. Let's say, for example, we put a Room 101 in your monthly subscription box, and you say, damn, I want more of this. Let me go talk to my local shop to find more. And that was before we had the online shop. And then we launched our online shop, and we started to think like, oh my God, are we being a little hypocritical here? Right? Because we are actually like selling stuff now so that people don't even need to go into the brick and mortars. And so we saw it as a real, as an opportunity, if you would, with COVID going on, for us to really put our money where our mouths were and say, listen, we're going to basically take our entire online book of business, like over 10,000 consumers, right? And we're just going to give them to brick and mortar shops. They're going to say, hey, go buy cigars from brick and mortar shops. I mean, that's a crazy thing. No other business would ever do that, right? But it was just, we thought it was really important to really show that, yeah, we really mean what we're talking about. We do care about cigar culture. We're not just here to mass produce cigars, like you said, sell things at an absolute discount, make a penny however we can. We care about this movement, and we want to support the local shops and the small shops that need help right now. That was really why we started.
I think it's funny. Like a lot of, you hear a lot of riffraff about, oh, the things that Privada is doing is none heard of. They're going into factories and just, I mean, it is. Let's just be frank about it. It is. Going into factories and making these connections and not going through the proper channels. And when I hear it, right, I'm like, are you mad? Like what are you upset about? Are you mad that somebody decided that they can open up their own mouth and ask somebody for something, and all behold, you ask for something, you shall receive, and now all of a sudden you get it?
Jack, I'll tell you what is a lot of it is. I think this old school mentality that you see prevalent throughout our industry, jealousy, honestly, I would just in a way, because there's a lot of people in this industry, retailers and some brands alike, that think that we are just like the young punks, if you would, the new guys on the block who think they know everything, are here to stir shit up and haven't paid their dues, right? Privada is only 4 years old now, and there's people who think that it's unfair that we are seeing the level of success we are now without having, in their minds, put in the work first. But people just fail to understand that, have the mentality, the amount of work we do put in to what we're doing, to think creatively and outside the box, and to do things differently and bring a new energy, a youthful energy into this industry.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Like, I think that's the you see a lot of things, like like growing up, you learned a lot of things in regards to how you should talk to people, what is courtesy and what is not courtesy. People got to realize that we're in a different era. The asking to do something is no longer a thing. It's just going out there and freaking doing it. And if you're not going to go out and do it, then you're never going to be successful in what we call today's society. At the end of the day, this is the go get your ass up and do it community right now. And what you guys are doing, I mean, it's just y'all got y'all asses up and y'all did what y'all was supposed to do. Y'all went and did the work, because if y'all didn't do the work, then there was no way why AJ Fernandez, why Room 101, why all the other collaborations happened without you guys. Caldwell, different things that y'all have done. Y'all have done so the fact of the matter is, people are jealous. And just like you said, jealousy fuels envy fuels hatred, and hatred fuels lies, right? At the end of the day, people are going to talk about it, but I want to tell you now, Clark, what you and Brian is doing is freaking horrendous, man. One day you guys are going to be at a fucking PCA show or tobacco expo, and y'all are going to have one of the most poppinest, spots on the show floor, and people are not going to understand why. But, I think a lot of getting into what we're about to get into next is really going to help the people, right? So tell us, obviously you can't tell us like, oh, we go, I'm not asking for step by step of what you do, but explain how you guys go about selecting your cigars for this LCA run.
Sure, absolutely. And I want to say one other thing real quick before we move on to that.
Oh, absolutely.
That I think the people that are jealous of us, I think what I would like to really explain is that you don't need to be jealous of us. People think that it's like an old school mentality that there's a fixed pie, right? And that if somebody else is doing well, then you're getting hurt, right? But that's not the case at all. Our whole thing is to grow the pie. We're not competing with anybody. We're making a new thing. We're bringing new consumers into the community in the first place. So anybody that feels threatened by us or jealous of us, you don't need to. We're here to help ourselves. Sure, we're trying to do it in a way that it helps the community and everybody wins, right? So that was that. But how do we pick the cigars for the LCA? It's a really just smoking a lot of cigars. Honestly, we get so many test blends on a daily basis. It's insane, actually. But basically, Brian and I will just smoke cigars that we get sent. Sometimes it's just stuff that people say, that factories or brands say, hey, this is really good, you should try this. Or it's something that we've requested, like, hey, we want something kind of like this, right? And then we try, and we're like, okay, we like this, but tweak it a little bit this way, until we just find something we think is really, really good. We look for stuff that's unique, that's stimulating right away, that gives you a lot of sensation, and stuff that's just very flavorful and delivers a satisfying experience. Those are really our three big criteria.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun to get to try a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, freaking testing cigars is like something we've been doing for our house blend on a crazy level. I can only imagine the amount of the level received, for you guys. Obviously you met him. Jim is our tobacconist that painted the picture for Brian. Came out there, met with you guys, spoke with you guys. Yeah, Jim's a great guy. Anyway, we were talking. He was saying when he was out there, y'all were just smoking them, not even making it to the whole second, third, and just like, hey, it's time to go to something else.
That's right. One of the new ones.
So if it didn't stimulate the palate off the jump, then it just didn't happen.
Yep. If I give a cigar about a minute. If it's not there in a minute, then it's not a Privada cigar.
So is it safe to say that a lot of these blends that you guys are getting is, old blends that may be phased out, as not, you've been sitting in the aging room for so long, production was made on it and it's no longer needed? Or is it you guys are strictly blending, so y'all are technically blenders of cigars? So first of all, I should say we are definitely not blenders. It would be a complete misrepresentation to call ourselves blenders. We are privileged and lucky enough to be able to work with some of the best blenders in the industry, and we're able to kind of collaborate together, tell them what we're looking for, and give guidance to the blenders to help them create something that we are looking for, that we're asking for. But certainly we could not blend cigars by ourselves. We just feel very blessed that we're in a position where we get to see people who are true blenders at work and what they do and how amazing it is. Yeah. But to answer your question, whether the stuff that we get for Privada and LCA are old blends or new releases, it's a collaboration. In the LCA, it's mostly new production cigars. The two exceptions to that have been one, the Cookie Monster from last November, the LCA release. That was a collaboration with Caldwell's Lost and Found project. So naturally, by design, it's going to be the Lost and Found style of aged dead stock, something like that. And then the other one that was not a new blend was the Thai Tea from Espinosa, which was the January LCA release. And that's actually a really cool story because he made the cigar for a private client in Asia, and then the deal ended up falling through. The guy just fell off the face of the map, and so he had all these cigars that had been sitting around for years that he didn't know what to do with. And this was a situation where Espinosa just sent us a cigar and said, hey, tell us what you think of this. And so we didn't know it was for an Asian client. We knew nothing about the cigar except that we thought it was really good, and we're like, this kind of tastes like Thai food, like it brings Thai spice to mind. And so when we found out it was for an Asian client, we're like, all right, well, that's cool. That's the name right there, then Thai tea, everything else in the LCA has been new productions produced just exclusively for the LCA. We do see a lot of that in Privada, also new production, but in Privada, I'd say you see more of the dead stock or more of the old or aged cigars that have some interesting story as to why they've been sitting in an aging room for 5, 6, 7, 10 years sometimes. That kind of interesting story really fits into the Privada Cigar Club experience very well. That's kind of what we want to give our consumers in Privada in their monthly subscription of 3 cigars, are just things that you just couldn't smoke ever again, that you wouldn't normally ever have the chance to see. So what's some of the inspiration behind the names that you guys come with? You had the barbecue pig or something like that, Cookie Monster. Me personally, I think I realized that, you guys just have a fetish with Sesame Street. Clearly, you guys watch way too much goddamn Sesame Street growing up.
Well, hey, listen, we've done 3 Sesame Street projects. We just released the Yellow Bird in the monthly subscription. It was a Honduran Puro from Aladino, and we think that's going to be the last venture down the street that we grew up on. Actually, that's not. We had Cookie Monster, Red Laugh, and now Yellow Bird. you might be seeing another appearance from one of those three down the road, but there's not going to be any more new installments into that line, if you would, new characters.
I gotta do freaking the damn it. I didn't clearly watch too much Sesame Street going up. Yeah, you gotta do Oscar Grouch, man. That's like
everybody says that. And,
you got to.
No, I don't know. Maybe we'll pull it out and make it an underground thing one day. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Hey, look, for all we know, it's on the paper of things that were released in 2022.
But to answer your question, how we come up with the names, to be completely honest, I would say 95% of the naming that gets done for the cigars is completely Brian. Brian is extremely creative, especially in that regard. He comes from a music background, so he's very naturally geared towards naming things, clever wordplay, graphic design, all that good stuff. And really his process is just really fascinating. He just smokes a cigar and he just kind of names it what comes to mind. What I love about Brian is that he really sees cigars as being a gastronomical experience, as do I, a very culinary thing. And so a lot of times he'll get this idea in his mind of what a cigar tastes like, what it reminds him of. And oftentimes that ends up being the inspiration for the name. For example, Cookie Monster, that whole thing just started because Brian really thought that cigar tasted like chocolate chip cookies, which I agree with. Yeah. And Trail Mix, an LC release from a few months ago, was Trail Mix because it brought to mind nut and fruits and chocolate Trail Mix to him. And I already told you, Thai tea named that because it was like Thai spice. So yeah. I think it's really cool that he really in that process brings food into cigars, because I think that they really do they are similar things, preparing a good meal and preparing a good cigar. I think a master blender and a master chef oftentimes have more in common than people realize.
Oh my God! I mean, it's art. I got a couple of chef buddies of mine, and when you look at how food is plated and all that stuff, it's an art. Especially when you start getting to the extra details and different things about that, it's an art. And I think cigars, go hand in hand. I've had some terrible blends and I've had great blends, and the more and more you talk to these blenders, the more and more you learn, about the different Ligeros, the different Vizos, the bits and Secos together, and how this wrapper complements this Vizo, and how this, it's just so many things to a point where, you have to realize that there is a art behind blending. It just doesn't go 100%. Into bunching some cigar leaves up and rolling a cigar and calling it a cigar. Like, yeah. So hands down,
there's so many. I mean, it's like there's so many different ways you can categorize leaves. You've got country of origin. Within that, you've got sub-region. Then you can go down to particular plantations or farms that all make an impact on the flavor. Where the priming was on the leaf, whether it was sun-grown or shade-grown, how it was cured, how it was fermented, how much water it got that particular season. So many different things that can affect a cigar or a particular tobacco leaf's characteristics. So, I mean, master blenders truly, if they've got access to a wide variety of tobaccos, have access to thousands of different kinds of tobacco. So it's truly amazing how they draw inspiration to put certain things together in certain arrangements, because if you were to just do it randomly by just grabbing a bunch of different leaves, that would not yield a good result. So truly, master blenders, it's really amazing to watch how they work.
So what's your favorite part of the process and why?
My favorite part of the process, I would have to say, I'm going to answer that with two pieces. I think, first of all, watching a project come to fruition. Sometimes we'll have an idea for something, and it can be a 6 to 12 month process before that really gets off the ground. We're working on something right now that I mean, I shouldn't have even brought up because I can't even share any details right now. But it's something we hope it's going to be a series that we hope comes out later this year or early next year. Something we're super excited about that I think is going to be something that nobody's ever seen before in the cigar industry, and I'm just very excited for the day where I get to see the finished product. Right, that part of it, watching all of your work pay off, is really gratifying. But I'd say, for me personally, what is also super gratifying is the release date of the new LCA release every month. The new LCA release always goes on sale the first Friday of the month. The 2 weeks prior to that are always really stressful and very busy, getting the cigars shipped out to all the retailers around the country, making sure they have it on time, making sure the orders get shipped out properly. And then there's always this stress the night before, right? Like Thursday night, like, oh God, like, is anybody going to buy this one? Like, have we overdone it this time? Like, are people getting tired of the LCA? Like, this is going to be the one, right, that just doesn't sell. It's going to be sitting around for months. And then it's just always really exciting when I start getting phone calls around 9 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, saying, hey, we're sold out. We need more. That's always really gratifying to know that people continue to enjoy this and look forward to these releases, and that it can be something that retailers look forward to also, because it continues to support their business and bring new traffic in. So that's really, for me, extremely rewarding.
So, couple questions here. How did you and Brian actually meet?
All right, so this is a kind of a long story, but so we do have time. So I was managing a cigar lounge in Central Florida in 2019. Now, Brian had just moved to Orlando, Florida. I'll give you a little backstory as to how Privada started in the first place, why he started it. So he was living in Pennsylvania. He had a big house in Pennsylvania that he and his wife were flipping, and he had a massive cigar collection at this point, right? Like basically a room full of cigars. And he'd been a big sneakerhead, a big sneaker collector for years. And he was kind of, when he was first getting into cigars, looked at cigars as being the same thing as sneakers, where he was going to buy some limited edition releases, some cool stuff that were going to, in his mind, go up in value over time, the same way that like a limited edition sneaker drop would. He didn't realize that that's not how it was in cigars. And he was very dismayed when he's trying to sell these cigars, because he was moving to LA into a much smaller apartment with his wife. They needed to downsize tremendously. So he's trying to sell these cigars he thought were going to be worth something one day. And people aren't even willing to pay him the retail value of what they were if they were on sale, originally. People weren't even willing to give him what he paid for them. And so he was really disappointed and distraught over that. He's like, I need to get rid of these. So listen, if I'm going to sell these cigars at a discount, I'm going to at least make sure that people understand why they're special. So he basically started selling his cigars in 3-packs online. It was the very beginning of Privada Cigar Club, basically just giving Brian's cigar collection a good home. And he didn't realize at the time, when he moved to LA into this small apartment with his wife, how big Privada was going to be and how much it was going to take off. And so he realized, like, oh wow, this really could be something. So we need to move to Florida, because we need more room, and it's going to be a lot cheaper and more tax friendly, business friendly for the cigar company in Florida. So fast forward now, it's 2019. He's just moved to Orlando, and one of my coworkers at this lounge I was working at, his name was Smokey, and he joined Privada Cigar Club just as a member online. And he brought into work and was like, wow, look at this. This is really cool. And I'm like, wow, this is super cool. Something that really struck me as amazing, because I'm really into the passion and the story and the culture of cigars. Really spoke to me. And so Smokey and Brian actually ended up becoming kind of good friends. Smokey was a film producer, and there were a couple of film projects that Brian wanted to work on way back in the day that Smokey kind of helped him facilitate. And they got to be buddies. They hung out a few times, and Smokey actually introduced me to Brian. And Brian and I just got along right away. It was completely natural. And it was at a point where it was just the right place, right time. Really, his company was just him and his wife at that point, basically, and he was needing help, and I just kind of started helping him out, just helping out my friend that I met through Smokey. We're buddies. I'm helping him out a little bit, and then I just kind of really started to see, like, wow, this is something special that he's got going on here. I'm just gonna like weasel my way in basically to this guy's corporation, and I have not left. He was not kicked out yet, so it's been a really cool experience. I've gotten to grow with the company just because of when I met him. And Brian's older than me. He's got over a decade on me. He's got a lot more business experience than I do. And so it's been a very important relationship for me because I've learned a lot by working with Brian. He's not only a great friend, he's also a strong mentor figure. And I definitely am better off for have had this experience with Brian.
All right, sorry, we had a connection issue that just popped up, so we apologize for that, man. So you saying Brian never got rid of you? You started explaining something else. That's when we went out. So
okay, I'm sorry, but no, basically it's Brian's older than me by over a decade. Actually, he's had a lot more business experience. He's had several other business ventures, and so for me, it's been not only really fun and really exciting to get to work in an industry and a career where it's something I love, I'm passionate about, but also it's been just the best experience I could have ever hoped for. I've learned a lot from Brian. Not only is he's a close friend, but he's also a strong mentor figure for me. I've definitely learned a lot from him, and I'm just very grateful every day that I continue to get to work with him. I learn something new just by watching the way this guy works every single day.
You know, Brian seems like a uplifting personality, and seems like a guy that's really about his business. Like you said, being a lot of people feel like they can just come into the cigar culture and cigar industry and just do whatever they want and however they want it. But you got to understand, like, selling cigars, it takes a lot of money, but it also takes a lot of understanding of overhead and what's going to sell, what's not going to sell. Just because something sells great in Chicago doesn't mean it's going to sell great in Florida.
I can attest to that, having shops all around the country. Yeah.
And, and also knowing, managing a cigar lounge and understanding, the aspects that go into the cigar, everything dealing with cigars is essential to know those things. So, understanding how tobacco sells all out the other regions, like how has that been, kind of trying to convey the right cigar every month, for the consumers?
So we have a real advantage in that regard of not having to worry as much about, what sells better regionally or not, because we're not selling regular production product that's going to sit on shelves for very long. So, I mean, certainly there are certain LCA releases that do better, that sell faster in some parts of the country, but we've got Privada Cigar Club members, we've got Privada Cigar Club followers, people who are passionate about these LCA releases all across the country. And so even if there's a certain brand or a certain manufacturer who's not as hot in a certain part of the country, there's still enough people there who are going to turn out to get the LCA release specifically. So we've just gotten, I guess, lucky in that regard that we're selling cigars in such a way that we don't need to worry too much about whether a certain brand's hot in a certain part of the country. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, and understanding the different complexity of the ventolas and stuff like that is, really essential to the business. But, if you're as long as you're making a great Robusto, Toro, Lancero, Corona, you can't go wrong with that. You know what I mean? So I want to know.
Certainly, we do keep track. Like I know certain certain retailers do really well. Like they've got a big Room 101 following, they've got a big Espinosa following, or I know that these guys don't generally do as well with the Lancero. So sometimes I'll adjust quantities a little bit. Yeah. Okay, I know this guy's going to need a few extra of this cigar, but I'm going to give him a little less of this one because I know he's not going to need as much. So I can play around with it a little bit.
And I mean, you're kind of the mastermind behind, not necessarily kind of. You're the mastermind behind making sure that the brick and mortars have everything they got. Like I had told you when we had got the run, I said, hey, we can't do that again. We need more than one bundle. Hey, but so kind of understanding that, right? Have you guys seen like you guys are producing like having to produce more cigars and more cigars and more cigars every monthly release, or are you staying kind of in the threshold of what you normally do?
That's a great question because, like I mentioned, the process of producing a cigar is at minimum like a 5 or 6 month process, right?
Yeah.
So the LCA, so we're having to like order cigars now for releases 6 months ago or for 6 months in the future, anticipating what the demand is going to be then. You know, we really try to keep this limited. We want to keep it limited. And we're just working with manufacturers and with tobaccos that can't be mass produced. You know, like we're working with really rare, like interesting tobaccos that you couldn't mass produce. But certainly it's like we ran into this problem with the barbecue pig.
Yeah.
And the run, and we're going to run into it with the Room 101 also, where we got as many as we thought we needed for the LCA audience we had 6 months ago, and then suddenly we don't have enough. So the barbecue pig was literally sold out just about everywhere within 3 days. I mean, most people were sold out the day of. And I mean, you saw the same thing with the runs. You guys were sold out of a pack in 5 seconds. So certainly we try to keep in mind now the realization that the audience continues to grow over time. So we try to, you know, we're ordering a few more now. If the tobacco and the, permits, if we're able to, we'll order a few more. Can't always, just because of the tobaccos we're working with, like I said, but we're trying to keep in mind that it's going to be bigger in 6 months than it is right now, which is hard to believe, but that's what makes it fun. It's a guessing game, really trying to guess how many people are going to want this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's crazy. So you guys not only are doing cigars, man, you guys have just sponsored the first Privada Cigar Club Lounge out in Pennsylvania. Tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the lounge out in Fishtown, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. It's called Lou Liga Cigar Lounge, made by a guy named Lou Liga. His real name is Louis Rodriguez, but everybody calls him Lou Liga. He's been in the industry, in the retail space for a long time, and we've known him for a couple of years now. And he was starting this lounge out there, and Brian really had the idea, let's make this a Privada sponsored lounge. And it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be a really cool lounge. They've had their soft opening. They're doing their grand opening this weekend, I believe. Yeah. And it's basically a loft and a second story building on top of a brewery that has a massive glass window that looks down into the brewery. Super cool, really? Interesting space. Yeah. And so it's the first time we've ever done this before. We really didn't know what to expect. We still don't know what to expect. But it's something we're super excited about. I guess we'll see after this weekend how it goes, but definitely something that we're proud of that we're able to partner with him on. And he's a good guy, he's a good friend of ours, so we're glad we're able to help him out also. Yeah.
Is it like an easeway type deal, or is it like signage and all that?
No, it's gonna have it has a LED like Privada Cigar Club sign on the wall. He's got a whole wall made out of this material, which is kind of like our signature material. He's got the sign on that wall, and that's kind of the Privada Cigar Club Lounge wall. I don't know if you've ever seen our on some of our YouTube videos. We have a signature pink couch that we do some interviews on. There's a pink couch over there also, so kind of the Privada section of the lounge.
Good, man. That's I'm excited for you guys. Like I said, the things that you guys are doing and the magnitude that you guys are doing it's just astronomical. So tell us a little bit about how that Killer Hornet is smoking right now.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So this is something we're super excited about because it's a Room 101, but it's not an ordinary Room 101. Matt Booth in the early 2010s was producing cigars primarily out of Honduras. So if you've been a long-time follower of the brand, he was doing stuff like Johnny Tobacco Nut, the Daruma series, Uncle Lee, which is one of my favorite cigars of all time. Really great Honduran blends. And then he switched over to the Dominican Republic, and I want to say 2015 or 2016, right? And so there are a lot of old school, like longtime fans of the brand who love that old school Room 101 stuff, have been wanting to see more. This is the first cigar that Matt has produced out of a Honduran factory with Honduran tobacco since 2014, I want to say. So if you are a long time fan of the brand, this is going to be very reminiscent of that stuff from the early 2010s and a big departure from what you might be used to. But it is in a true Cuban Corona size. We tried this blend in a few different Vitolas, but this particular size, this Cuban Corona size, is just where this blend absolutely shines. It's extremely complex, very floral and nutty, and it's got some pepper tones in there. It's a lot going on, and it evolves a lot too, and it's just an absolute dream to smoke.
Yeah, you know, I had Matt on the show, and Matt is a very interesting guy. Very interesting. I think the whole industry knows how interesting Matt can be. And then, you know, also knowing like all the stuff that he produced with I believe it was Camacho, if I'm not mistaken. Producing with Camacho before, and you know, that's been the biggest thing. You know, he took his hiatus, and when he took his time off, he felt like he even said this. It was one of his biggest mistakes because, you know, at that time, the cigars was doing astronomically well and kind of producing what those cigars were supposed to do. You know, right out the gate after his hiatus, it's been really one of his things. But you know, I think personally, that Room 101 has a great brand. It just, you know, as everything has got to go through its building phases again. You know, and I think you know, with this LCA release, is putting Room 101 on a national scale again and saying, hey, not only is this already a great brand, but they're producing great brands like they did back in 2010, back in 2008, and different things of that nature.
Absolutely. And listen, Matt's still putting out some really good stuff right now. I just need to take a second to shout out Matt Booth. He's been a longtime friend of Privada. He was one of the first manufacturers who really supported Privada, understood what we were doing. He's set us up with some really interesting product of his over the years, and we're just very thankful to Matt, and he'll always be a good friend of the brand, and we're super excited to share this particular release with the LCA. I think it's giving Matt a chance to do something that he's very excited to do that he wouldn't normally have a chance to do on a regular basis right now.
And shout out to Cigar Music 1234. He's damn right. You got to be on your A game. Hey, I tell you now, if your Cigar Lounge is not top tier, I'm telling you, Clark is not going to add you to the LCA list. It got to be highly recommended. I'm speaking from experience, okay? Hey,
that's Clark at PrivadaCigarClub.com. Email me if you got a shop you want to see in the LCA. If I hear enough people talk about it, if I hear enough demand, we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Hey, so let your brick and mortars know now. Lewis, what's up, champ? Wants to know what's the biggest selling rapper right now, in your opinion?
My opinion, I would have to say Maduro, Connecticut broadleaf for San Andreas. The thing is that the American market, we were talking to, we do a lot of content on YouTube when we had a series called Spirited Smoke, where we kind of explored like pairings between cigars and different libations, coffee, bourbon. We did a wine episode, and we were talking to a wine producer who said that the American market loves full-bodied stuff. They love, the heavy cabs from California, right? And we're like, that is exactly how it is in cigars. The American market likes full-bodied, kick in the teeth, and so they really like a overpowered Maduro strong blend. What I actually think is super interesting is that on the face of it, Maduro tobacco shouldn't actually be all that strong. You actually cook out more of the nicotine in Maduro wrappers because you're fermenting it for longer. But for the American market, cigar manufacturers understand that cigar consumers see a darker wrapper and think it's a darker flavor, a stronger flavor. Will oftentimes fill Maduro cigars with a lot of Ligero, a lot of high premium intense stuff, so that you get that strength out of a Maduro wrapper that people assume that you would get out of a darker cigar. Which that's just a little pull back the curtain on cigar manufacturing right there that I think is super fascinating.
The Ligero is really one of those things that creates the full blows. I had a customer not too long ago. Was like, "Hey, Jack, I usually smoke this particular cigar. What would you say?" And he was saying his cigar choice was the Perdomo 10th anniversary. And I'm like, man, that's a full body cigar to the T. Like that, you're gonna get a lot of pepper off the front end, on the back end, the final third, the first third, second third. Every part of that is going to be full body. But one thing I have noticed is I like full body cigars, but I don't like a lot of pepper that sits on the front and back of my palate. I think it's harder to taste different notes when you have that much pepper that is overwhelming. Sure. All you're doing is picking up on the pepper, and when you try to dive into, whether it has a chocolate note or a leather note or a cocoa note, a coffee note, it's really throttled back because of the amount of pepper that you get from that Ligero leaf. And I mean, am I tripping, or is that something that you see in your perspective as well?
No, 100%. I think it's hard to get a cigar that both has a ton of strength and a ton of complexity. It's not impossible. There are cigars that do it, but I would say that there's usually some level of trade-off between strength and complexity. And me personally, I found that my palate, over my cigar smoking career, had a really interesting, kind of roller coaster that I think that some people who've been smoking for a long time might be able to relate to. Where when you start out, you like the more mild stuff because it's what you can tolerate. You don't want to start out too strong. Then you start ramping up into the more full-bodied stuff, right? And then I think that's where you think that you want to stay. Like you've climbed Cigar Mountain. You can do the full-bodied intense stuff. But then after a while, I think that, like for me, I've come back down again, and I really have grown to appreciate the more mild but nuanced cigar. I think that a lot of casual cigar smokers don't understand how good a good mild Connecticut shade cigar can be. I think the reason for that, I was talking to Brian about this a couple weeks ago actually, where if you're going to grab a dark full-bodied cigar off the shelves of a brick and mortar retailer, odds are it's going to be okay, right? It might not be great, but it's hard to screw up something too bad where you're still going to get flavor out of a full-bodied Nicaraguan blend. If you grab a lighter, like a Connecticut shade cigar off shelf at random, I think there's a pretty good chance actually it's not going to be that great. It's going to be just mild and bland and not a lot going on. But if you know which Connecticut shades to go for, I just don't think there's anything better than something with a lot of complexity, a lot of nuance. I think it's just a beautiful thing. And so I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but long story short, don't be afraid of mild cigars, good Connecticut shades. If you want recommendations, ask, because there are bomb-ass Connecticut shades out there that would give any full-bodied kick in the teeth a serious run for the money.
And me personally, I'm more of a Habano, Rosado, sun-grown type of person. I think you get a lot of great notes out of that. Some great Connecticut's, just like what you're talking about, is the Southern Draw Rose of Sharon. Like that's oh my Jesus. When I tell people, if you really want something that you're not gonna find in most of them, that's the way to go. And obviously,
I'm sorry, I got excited.
No, go ahead. You guys.
I was going to say that Sinistro made a cigar exclusively for Privada that was in the monthly subscription last year, or earlier this year, I want to say. But it was a Connecticut version of the Last Cowboy, completely different blend, but a Connecticut Lonsdale, just absolutely incredible. I think about that cigar all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, I think as you climb up, and even when people try to start, right, they usually get their recommendation from their friend that's been smoking, and normally give them a full body cigar that's just going to blow their socks off and going to turn them off of cigars. And I think personally, like you said, it's kind of a tie. You get to the top of the mountain, it's like you want to go down it and then really find your palate. And I think once you find that palate and you find what you like, I think that's the perfect way to go. Fuller is not always good, me personally.
And I think the beautiful thing about cigars is that we've got such a wide variety of experiences and profiles that we have to choose from. There are times where I will want to kick in the teeth full body cigar, and those are there when you want them. Basically, after you smoke enough cigars, I think that you will have a repertoire in your mind that you can reach for, a different cigar for whatever you're feeling in that particular moment.
You know what I think is a great full body cigar? Have you ever had the Tabernacle by Foundation?
Mm-hmm, certainly have. Have you had that in a Lancero?
You can't. Most people can't take that in a Lancero, okay?
It's intense, but that's one of the few I was talking about, the exceptions. Full-bodied, intense, but also really complex. It's like smoking brownie batter.
Yes. I think Nick Dewar, I call it the Liga Privada sleeper. It's one of those, Nick, blended the Liga Privada, and him and Steve. And I think he just went out and just wanted to perfect the hell out of that damn cigar to a T that I think personally the Tabernacle can give any bold cigar a run for his money. It's just not a bigger cigar.
Sure, 100%. Tabernacle, if you haven't had it, smoke it. And if you've had it but not Lancero, you can find one, grab one of those. That is really good.
Hey, you're putting them on game, man. Hey, as we wrap up, one thing that we like to do on the virtual smoke deck, Clark, is one gem that you would like to put out for the people. Doesn't have to necessarily be about cigars. It be about anything. Whatever you have that's on your heart, on your brain, man, go ahead and share it with us.
You know what? Be good to each other, and be. This is something that we've been internally at Privada. Brian and I have been really pushing for recently. Is fighting against this mentality that we've seen a lot in the industry, especially like in online cigar communities. I think with the advent of social media, you see it in a lot of places, not just cigars, but people get behind a keyboard and they behave differently. And I think that we are just encouraging people to treat each other, not only each other with respect online and in the cigar community, but also treat cigar manufacturers and brands with respect. I hate it when you see online people saying, "Oh, this cigar is shit." It's like, have your opinions. You're welcome to, have preferences, of course, but be respectful of people's work and realize that each cigar that people put out it's a piece of art, like you said, a piece of love, something they poured their heart into. And I don't think you see this as much in like liquor or bourbon communities that I've seen online. People tend to be more respectful there. I just think that we want to change that mentality in cigars and encourage people to just behave very more respectfully and be more conscientious of their words and the impact it has on other people.
Yeah, and I think it's you're absolutely right, man. The amount of the work and effort that goes into blending a cigar. What I tell people as a brand, as a lounge owner, I said there's no bad cigars. They're just ones that you feel is better. At the end of the day, hey, ruin groups. Hey, Lewis, man. But I think it's not a shitty cigar. It's just better ones to your palate. And I think that's the best way to kind of go about it. And when you flow from that type of angle, you're always gonna have some things where it's just great. It's just like food. One thing that came to my mind too is when we was talking about the complexity and robust flavors of cigars. You think of it like somebody that's either body builds and then somebody that is straight muscle, right? Which kind of gears towards the look of the muscle, right? If you ever look at bodybuilders or people, the world's strongest men or something like that, they're normally bigger guys, really no defined muscle definition is just strength, you know,
Yep.
and that's how cigars is, right? The darker ones that you get, they just strength, right? And then you get to those other cigars that, you know, has a physique that is just, you know, well polished, well rounded, looks good, but won't really give you the strength of putting up, you know, 415 or squatting a freaking truck tire or something like that. And it's really about, that's how you look at cigars. So I just wanted to piggyback off that. You know, every single cigar is, you know, worth a shot. If you don't like it, tell your tobacconist so they know how to recommend you. And, you know, if you've been stuck on something for so long, give something else a try. You know, I told people that never smoked around before, if you smoke that cigar, it's blended by AJ, so it's gonna have a punch to it. You know, you gotta be able to smoke those cigars and try it. And people be like, man, you know, I wish I would have bought more. Well, Jack told you and you didn't listen. well, Clark, we definitely appreciate your time on coming onto the virtual smoke deck, man. We really appreciate you so much. We appreciate what you're doing for the cigar community. And y'all push and fight to change the mindsets of, you know, not only these keyboard warriors, but also the manufacturers and, you know, everybody that supports the brand. So keep it up, keep doing great things, man. Keep supporting Brian, man. Y'all are on to doing some great things. Like I said, I can't wait to the day you guys, you know, are just freaking whooping ass and, you know, taking names. I'm talking all over the freaking world. You're already doing it in the United States. Let's fucking get into Germany and Switzerland and, you know, all these other areas.
We got a distribution in Norway not too long ago. We're super excited about that. We got Norway in the LCA now. But we're just a community that I know Brian and I are super passionate about, a culture that we love, and we just hope to, in our time in this game, leave a mark that leaves this community, you know, better than we found it.
Yeah. Well, Clark, you have a good day, my brother. We appreciate you coming onto the show.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you Friday for the LCA release of Murder Hornet.
Absolutely, man. You have a great day, brother.
Hey, you guys too. Peace.
Hey, one thing about the virtual smoke that I love is, man, we have literally backgrounds from everybody all around the industry that's doing great things, man. Get out the old habit of, you know, this is the way of doing things, and understanding that the world is revolving, the world is changing, the world is starting to put things on display that we have never seen before. And hey, look, our generation, us millennials, you know, we're going to be changing the game for a long time, man. So we appreciate the support. If you're new to the Virtual Smoke Deck, man, go ahead and follow us on Facebook at the Virtual Smoke Deck Live. If you're new to us if you're new to us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell, give us a huge thumb up, and also follow us at Dapper D Cigars on Instagram and Facebook for all the updated content and events that we have here at the Lounge. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, man. We got some great shows in store for you next week. We have Mark Ashton from Select Draw Cutters coming on. If you haven't seen the Select Draw Cutter, it's the 3-prong one, man. We're excited to have him on. It's going to be a great show, just like this one was. Again, we appreciate you guys, and until next time, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast. Now.